Well, November is Financial Literacy Month, although it's a subject many of us were raised to consider impolite to talk about. Well, we're getting over that this morning with mortgage broker Clinton Wilkins. Good morning, Clinton.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
November, Financial Literacy Month, and this is a basic need, and yet many people are hesitant to talk about it. But that comes at a huge cost to ourselves.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a taboo subject. You know, people don't want to talk about their debt or how much they make or how much they owe on their mortgage.
Right. And actually, yeah, speaking of mortgage, that is the biggest purchase and the biggest debt we will carry with us.
100%. And I think November and Financial Literacy Month is a good time to look at your household finances, and the mortgage is the biggest piece of that pie.
Right. Okay, so let's delve into that.
For sure.
Where do you want people to start thinking about, you know, when it comes to saving money on the mortgage?
I think, you know, the biggest thing that people need to look at, I think they need to review their mortgage at least once a year. The typical term in Canada is 5 years. So typical terms are either a 5-year fixed or a 5-year variable. And I think that people need to look at their term at least once a year, just to make sure that they're still in the best product and it's the best fit for them and their household finances.
So variable or fixed, what do you recommend, or does it totally depend?
I think it depends on the person. In Canada, about 40% of borrowers are in a variable rate. Historically, people do better in a variable, but there's been a lot of noise in the media. I'm sure some people have seen on CTV. The prime rate went up 2 weeks ago. And that certainly impacted a lot of borrowers because their mortgage has now become more expensive. So either their payment went up or their amortization got longer. But I think that people in a variable rate really need to weather the storm, because I think they're going to see a few increases now over the next 18 to 24 months, but the rates are going to come back down. Because I think likely there's going to be a recession and inflation is going to come back down. I mean, I'm not an economist, but that's what the economists are saying. You know, a fixed rate does provide more security, but it comes at a cost. So fixed rates are typically more expensive than a variable will be, and borrowers will pay more on a fixed rate over the same amount of time historically. And I think that fixed rates are a little bit more risky in some ways. You know, when a fixed rate comes up for renewal, people can have a little bit of payment shock.
Right.
So if we think about the rates that were 3, 4, 5 years ago, people were getting a fixed rate at around 2.5%. And now the renewals are coming at, you know, 4%, 4.5%. So those people going from 2.5 to 4.5 are really seeing a big shock in their payment when they're in a fix.
It does look like a personality thing, though, too, because some people really like knowing what they're going to pay and what they're going to get.
And there's a value there, because I think if you're going to lose sleep over what's going to happen with the rate and what's going to happen with the payment, then pay a higher rate and have that security and knowing what your payment's going to be every month.
Right, okay. With that prime going up, have you noticed that's keeping some people out of the market, or is there a hesitancy with new buyers?
You know what? I think it's almost the opposite.
Okay.
I think when the rates go up, I think some people get off the fence and say, you know what, I was thinking about doing something, maybe now is a good time to do it. And, you know, going into the fall, I think it's a great time to look at buying real estate. Typically, sellers become a little bit more motivated because they don't want to hold their real estate over the winter. They don't want to clear the snow, heat the property. So I think going into the fall is a great time to look at home ownership, and who doesn't want to be in a new home for the holidays?
Right, and you do feel that pressure, too, if it's not selling right away, that people will start to think, oh, like, there's something wrong with that house, or, you know, the longer it's on the market, your stress levels do go up.
For sure, and I think that the market in Atlantic Canada certainly has been heating up. I think that there's a challenge around the inventory. So right now there's more buyers in a lot of these markets than there is inventory. So I think the prices will go up. So I think going into the end of 2018 and into 2019, it's a good time to look at home ownership. It's part of the Canadian dream.
Yeah.
And I think seeking the advice of an unbiased mortgage professional is great. And I think specifically in November, it's a good time going into the holidays to look at your household finances and looking at your mortgage debt.
And then we can take a big deep breath by January when it's all cleared out and we've all been Christmas shopping, we need to restart.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think that at that point, you know, once you receive your bills from the holidays,
yes,
if you haven't done something in November and December, January is a great time to look at that finance again, and maybe a refinance may work out well for you. Maybe you need to access some of that equity in your home to get that unsecured debt under control.
Well, thank you for chatting with us about money. We're getting much more comfortable dealing with it.
I know, let's just talk about it.
Yeah, it's just part of life.
I know, it's just part of life.
Yes. Thank you so much, Clinton.
Thanks for having me.